Hello and welcome to the Busy Bays podcast, where we provide valuable insight and advice on the marketing and other business type questions that auto repair shops encounter as they work towards achieving their goals. Now here's our hosts, Martin Morgan and Becca Weinbein. Welcome to the Busy Bays podcast, a podcast that's all about being the ultimate marketing and business resource for auto repair shop owners. In this episode, we are talking about pay-per-click and Google Ads. So, Martin, taking a look at Google Ads and pay-per-click, how are they related to one another?
So, Becca, pay-per-click advertising is really the overall category that we're talking about, where Google Ads is a piece within pay-per-click advertising. There are other big pay-per-click advertising providers like Amazon, Facebook are two big examples that many people will be familiar with. But Google Ads really fit within the category of pay-per-click ads. And those are those ads that you may buy and you get set up and then you pay depending on how many people click usually. Although you can also set it up so you can do it based on how many times your ad is seen. But for the most part, it's done by how many clicks occur on your ad.
So ultimately, pay-per-click is my big umbrella,
Yep.
And Google Ads is underneath it.
Exactly. Yep.
Okay, perfect. Good to know. So where do we see the Google Ads online pop up?
Predominantly, the ads that we're talking about are going to appear on that search engine results page. So those are going to be those ads that occur or show up at the top of the page after you search for auto repair or somebody searches for auto repair near me. They may also appear in the local pack, which is that pack of 3 to 4 shops are right below the map. But you may also see them, and it depends in part on what type of advertising you're buying or that you're looking for. You may also see them throughout the internet. So I think all of us have a story where we looked at a product page on something, maybe Amazon or something else, and then all of a sudden we see that product popping up on almost every single page we visit on the internet. That's also as part of Google Ads, and those are usually set up as remarketing ads. So anytime somebody visits a page, they'll set it up so you'll continue to see those ads.
Yeah, Amazon's always telling me to buy something.
Yes, yeah, they're really good about it.
So will Google Ads come up first in the search before the organic search results do?
Usually, Google Ads will show up first in the search. So that's not always the case. There will be some searches where you might just come across your first ads at the bottom of that first search engine results page and then continuously as you go through. But most often, especially when you're talking about local services like auto repair, they're going to show up at the top, and then you're also going to see some at the bottom and probably at the top and or the bottom of all the pages to follow.
And when you say the search engine page, you just mean I'm literally hop on the computer, go on Google, and like whatever comes up? That's
right,
what you mean?
Yeah, so you have the page, you type something into the search box and hit enter. That page that shows up, and that's the search engine results page.
Awesome. If I were to click on an ad, what happens next?
So if you as a user clicks on the ad, then you'll go to whatever landing page is set up for that ad. So as an advertiser, if you're an auto repair shop that is advertising or is looking to potentially use Google Ads, what happens for the user, they see the ad, they click on the ad. As soon as somebody clicks on the ad, that's when you will pay for the ad. So the ads show up based on an auction that happens within thousandths of a second, let's say, based on the bids that you put in or the people that are doing it for you will put in. And so Google conducts that instantly. They know exactly who's going to show up where. So you can set how much you're willing to pay to show up for certain people or certain keywords, and then Google runs the auction and they'll show them in order. And as soon as somebody clicks, you won't pay usually for that impression. They see it, but you're saying that you'd be willing to pay this much for a click. You'll show up higher in the ads. Somebody clicks on it, and pretty much right there, it's like they just ran your credit card, and you're paying whatever bid you said that you would pay for them.
If I see an ad for a shop and I click on it, does the shop get notified?
They won't really get a notification like you might get to say, hey, somebody clicked on your ad, but they'll be able to look at an interface. So right in Google Ads, if you're working directly in Google Ads, it'll show you that somebody clicked on an ad at that time.
Okay, so you kind of know the times of the days when people click, or...
Yes, that is exactly right. So they'll have a fair amount of data, and you can probably use some additional pieces to get even a little more granular, but their interface through the Google Ads interface, I guess you could say, will show you, what are the best times of day as far as how many people see impressions, what are the best times of day as far as how many clicks that you get, all of those things, so you can track your advertising and to some extent how it's doing.
And you only get charged if the person clicks on your ad.
Right. You get, unless you set it up, which is uncommon for it to
be viewed.
Yeah, for
that'd
impressions.
Be crazy.
So you can set it up for impressions by
wow.
by the thousands, but more often than not, it's based on clicks.
Okay. So if you have X amount of money for the day to be used on that ad, what if that money goes away because people clicked on it already by noon?
Right, and that's a really good question, Becca, because it's really important to say you've got to make sure you set your maximums. That's something that can really come back to bite you if you don't set your maximums. You want to make sure you say, I'm willing to spend $40 a day or whatever the number is, and know that that's going to be applied on every day. You can also set the times when you want the ads to show. That may or may not be relevant. Probably not for auto repair, but you can set the times of the day. But what happens is as soon as you hit your max, it's over. You've reached your max. They're not going to show you in any more ads. So you'll stop appearing on the search results or in the display network depending on what you get. But you want to make sure you set that max, because if you don't, you could end up paying whatever amount of money that people end up clicking on your ad. So, a quick cautionary tale, doing some Google Ads for us, I tried to develop another audience beyond our typical audience. And I thought I had refined it enough so it wouldn't be a crazy number. And what ended up happening is I'm really happy that I had set a max. And even with that, it didn't really stop at the max. So our max was like $40 a day. I set this up, and there was no timetable to it. So at midnight, it's a new day, and the ads started showing up. Well, what happened is, because I wasn't restrictive enough with the new audience that I set up, is within 30 seconds in the new day, we had already spent $150.
What?
So we had set the max at 40, but because it all happened so quick and it hit so many people and there were so many clicks, 30 seconds into the day, we'd already spent our max budget. The lesson that I walked away from is, all right, don't mess with these audiences too much, but also, how important that max is. And then, just some crazy things, like there was no reason for there to be that many clicks. There was like a ridiculous number of clicks. So you just have to be really, really careful with everything that you do, and look for those maxes for sure. So if you want to play around with it a little bit, you can, without losing a whole bunch of money that you don't want to lose.
Yeah, there's a lot of risks.
There's a lot of risk if you don't know what you're doing, and you want to make sure that you set up the rails to help you mitigate risk. So if you've got the time and the resources to play with it, you really, especially early on, it's couple hours a day type of a thing.
Wow.
And if not, you want to make sure that you hire somebody, if somebody's doing it for you, that can really prove that they know exactly what they're doing.
Or they'll waste your money.
or they'll waste your money. Exactly right. So you want to be very careful when you're doing that. If you're new to it, or if you're going to hire somebody to do it, make them prove to you somehow. Have them show you some ROI based on some of the advertising that they've done for other clients before you jump in and start paying them money.
When people set up Google Ads, you said, you can target what time of day that you do it and so on, but you can do it by keyword too. So if you really want to search for.
So it's what is really great is that you can be as specific as you want based on keywords, locations. If you want to search for certain keywords, let's say you really want to highlight engine repair. That's a great ARO for you. Somebody comes in for engine repair. It's a really good business, really good service that you want to be able to provide more of. So you really focus on engine repair. If somebody types in engine repair, or maybe engine repair geo-modified or engine repair near me, which isn't likely to help you all that much more than engine repair, but you can pick those specific keywords. You can narrow it down right to your zip codes at least. You can be really specific on those things so that you're narrowing your audience, and you want to do that as much as you possibly can, especially early on, because you want to see how much it might cost before you start opening up. Because the thing you don't want to do is make it so broad that you're spending a lot of money, but what you find out is most of your money is being spent way out on the edges of the group that you wanted geographically, and not real closer to where you are. Yeah. So you can be really granular as far as how you want that to be set up.
Yeah, that's really important. So Martin, if I was a shop owner, how would I know if Google Ads is right for me?
And what I should certainly say, and maybe should have said it up front, is that I would say to anybody, if you're currently doing Google Ads and it's working for you, then by all means keep doing it. That's great. There's no way I'd ever tell anybody to stop doing something that's working well for them, because it certainly can work. I think what you want to do, and how to tell if it could possibly work for you, is if you think that it could, you can explore a little bit. You can try some things and see if it'll work. The easiest way to do that is by doing those search ads. By targeting a few specific keywords that you want to target, trying out some ads. It's all text, so put in some text there. See what other people are doing, or just Google good quality ads for search keyword advertising.
Oh, that's a good idea.
See what other people are doing, because probably the people that are finding success with it, they figured out a little bit of a trick. Not that to say just rip it all from them or do exactly what they did, especially if it's in your market. You don't want to do that. The other way that you could do it is if you want to outsource it, is find somebody who will do it for you, but again, make sure that they've proven to be successful, because you want to see something like the return on investment. So if you're paying X for ads, how many clicks are you getting? But then more importantly, how many customers are you getting from those clicks? You should be able to track it right down to the customer, and you want to be able to tell, okay, if you're paying $500 a month for Google Ads, then you want to be able to say that you're getting whatever your number would be, but let's say $2,500 worth of business out of that $500 spend.
Yeah, so is it worth it or not? That's a good question to ask yourself. How expensive can Google Ads range from?
Be as much as you want it to be to some extent, right? So if you're in a small area and you've got it targeted pretty specifically close to you, and you've got 5 or 6 keywords, let's say, then your max is not going to be a ton of money. If you're in a bigger area, and or if you've just expanded it way out, or let's say you didn't set your geography, you're going to be spending a lot of money. So in part it depends, and Google will kind of sort of try to estimate what that'll look like for you. It also depends a lot on how competitive your market is. So you can find some of that information as far as looking if you've got a Google Ads account, just plug in keywords that you want to be found for in the area, and then you can see what the cost per click is. So you can estimate that, and you'll be able to see rather quickly kind of what the top ranking click might cost you. And from that standpoint, you can estimate how much you might want to spend.
Are you in competition, like with other shops, let's say, in the area?
You're in competition with everybody that's bidding for that keyword in ads. So there may be more than shops. You could be in certainly certainly could be some shops. It could be
like gas stations or something?
Yeah, could be gas stations. Okay. Could be franchises. Certainly, they would count as shops as well. But let's say you're looking for some other specific keyword. There may be other people that are making a play for that keyword for some reason. You'd be surprised what you might find out there. But everybody's competing, and it's an automatic auction. So whoever's willing to pay the most is going to be the one that shows up at the top. And then in descending order from there.
That's so interesting. So you better be willing to pay.
If you want to show up at the top, you got to be willing to pay. That's exactly right.
So, besides not being willing to pay, what's the reason why somebody would not want Google Ads?
I think in part because it takes a lot of time and effort, either by you or you're going to have to pay somebody a fair amount of money to make it work for you. The other thing with Google Ads, and comparing it to something like SEO or your website, certainly, with Google Ads, you start paying money, and as soon as you stop, it's done. You're not showing up anywhere. Your ads are done. You're done paying money. You're not going to show up anywhere where the ads are. Whereas something like your website and SEO, it builds over time. So any amount of time and effort, money that you put into a website is going to continue to build and grow and help that search better in the long run, whereas the ads, it's all dependent on how much you're willing to spend. So somebody may look at that from a good side too, because they could say, hey, I'm willing to spend whatever it takes and throw a bunch of money at it and then potentially get customers that way as well. But as far as potential downsides, it's not easy. It's easy in that Google makes it really easy for you to say, hey, I want to do Google Ads, and I'm willing to pay this money. But it's not easy to do really well necessarily with it if you don't do your research or have somebody that's really knowledgeable and has good expertise working for you on it.
If you're using SEO strictly for your website instead of focusing just on the ads, yes, it will help you build and grow over time, but would you recommend having people use Google Ads in the beginning portion of getting their website up?
If you have a brand new website with a brand new domain, you haven't had a website before, then the real nice thing about ads is as long as you're willing to pay enough, you can show up at the top of the search results.
Okay.
So that is definitely an advantage. You don't have to really earn your way to the top like you do in SEO. You can buy your way to the top. So that can certainly be an advantage.
And then it'll go away once the money's gone.
As soon as you stop paying for it, it will be gone.
So SEO is actually quite a fantastic thing.
Yeah, and people could say it's the combination of everything that can be helpful, and that can certainly be the case. But for me, at least the way that I look at things, if I'm not getting some direct return on that investment, I'm going to be pretty likely to stop doing it.
So if a shop is searching well online without any Google Ads, and then they end up getting the Google Ads later, could this hurt their organic search results?
So it shouldn't affect their organic search results at all. It certainly won't hurt them. Some people believe that if you're willing to pay Google for your ads, for ads to go along with it, that it does help your search. Now, Google denies that, so the ads is certainly not going to hurt your search. Mm-hmm. It's possible they may help. What some people also believe is that being seen in all those areas is what helps you from a brand standpoint. So if you're in the ads, you're in the local pack, which is mostly determined by just proximity to the searcher. If you're in organic search, all of those things combined so that somebody sees your name like three or four times. So like, oh yeah, it's them.
Repetition.
I see them. Yeah, the repetition.
So what would you tell a shop that's deciding between Google Ads versus focusing on their SEO strictly? Like, what are the pros, cons?
If you want instant recognition, or it's really important to you to show up at the top of the search engine results page, then ads are going to get you there faster.
And if you're willing to pay.
If you're willing to pay, exactly. If you're willing to pay, they're going to get you there faster. for website SEO, that's stuff that builds over time. So that's more of like a reputation where if you put your time and effort into it on the front end, you think about things like asking for referrals, right? So in order to ask for referrals, you've got to have customers. If you're a new shop, these things, you really feel this because you're building your reputation. If you've been established for a long time, take yourself back really to where the shop was building your reputation. So SEO and a website is kind of like that to some extent. You're building your reputation. But the great thing is, once you have that reputation, it continues to build, and then you've got all the people outside that are referring you, and that business continues to build. So that's kind of like what SEO and what a website is. Now, there are lots of things you can do to help that build, and that's probably better saved for another podcast, and we've talked about some of those things. Whereas the ads is all about what you're willing to spend to some extent, but you also have to have good ads that are gonna make people want to click on them, and then also make them want to become customers of yours as well. So from that standpoint, a website is often important because that's where you're going to send somebody from the ads to your website, or at least to a landing page, unless you're just trying to get them to call. But again, if you're willing to throw a bunch of money at it to get at the top, the ads are going to help you do that pretty quickly.
So we understand that there's a lot of different opinions and perspectives on what you'll read online, or even hear from everybody, different companies.
Yep, definitely true.
When it comes to the Google Ads. So if you guys have any questions on what we've covered today, please feel free to reach out to myself or Martin, and we'd really like to have a conversation about that.
Yeah, we invite those conversations for sure. And if you are somebody who's had a lot of success with ads, would be happy to hear from you as well, and hear a little bit about what you might credit that success to, and kind of what the ROI for you looks like on that, because those stories are good to hear also. Reach out to us. We'll exchange some emails or have a conversation, any of those things. Be happy to talk to you.
Thank you for listening to the Busy Bays podcast. If you want more information about this, please visit myrsw.com and go to our resource center. We plan on hosting one of these every month, so subscribe to our podcast so you don't miss out. We just have one more favor to ask of you. It would mean the world to us if you would share this with your friends and colleagues. Our goal is to help auto repair shops succeed, so you can help us achieve this goal by just telling someone else about this show. Thanks again. Have a great day.